What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Pick Swap Media YouTube channel. We are here to break down another draft prospect today, and today we are going to take a look at Zaccharie Risacher out of France. Plays for the club. I'm going to do my best with the name here, but JL Borg and Brissy, once again, out of France there. There is some interesting things that I'm excited to get into about this. So in this video, I'm going to break down statistically what we're seeing, some of the things within his game that we should acknowledge, as well as dive into some film and see what he brings to the table in an on-court setting. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start by looking at some stats from overseas here, as you can see. So not a ton to dig into here. It's pretty spread out over a variety of competitions. Most recently, that this coming in the LNB Pro A League, he averaged 10.1 points per game across his 22 minutes per game and 32 games of action. Also added 3.8 rebounds per game. Not much of a passer at 0.9 assists per game, 0.8 steals per game, just 0.3 blocks per game. But where he does stand out is as a shooter. He did have a little bit of a dip in the overall production from the field, just 43.9% overall, but did shoot 35.2% from three on 3.4 attempts per game. And that coming after during the Euro Cup, where he shot 56.1% on 3.4 3-point attempts per game. Throughout his professional career, he shot 40.7% from beyond the three-point arc on 2.4 attempts per game. And that does seem to be where his money will be made, that the reputation for Zaccharie Risacher is as a shooter. That is kind of his expected role. I've seen a lot of the player comps floating around. I've seen a lot of Michael Porter Jr. player comps thrown at him. I don't fully see that. I get the archetype that he is 6'8", borderline 6'10", depending on where you're looking at the measurements, that he is a guy that is going to be a shoot first guy, a catch and shoot type guy. But I don't think he has quite the polish or quite the offensive creativity as you see with Michael Porter Jr., although there's certainly some stylistic similarities there. A guy, and I'll get into it more as I show the film, and let me dive into that right now as I keep talking here. So we're going to pull up a little bit of film to watch here. Click play on these highlights here and talk through. So you can see he is a big frame, a big wing. The number one thing that stands out about him, it is his footwork on the shooting to me, that he's such a clean catch and shooter. He does the work beforehand with his feet. He is long. He is athletic. I don't love him defensively, to be perfectly honest. I think that his reputation defensively is a little bit better than is fully the case. It is tough to tell in these types of settings, and I've listened and read a lot of these scouting reports from some of the hoop summits and different workouts that he's been through. It feels to me like he has the tools to be a great defender, but has not quite put it together yet. But offensively is where he is going to stand out. That shooting ability is what's going to keep him on the floor. And to dive into some of this overall, once again, 40.7% on the 3-point percentage across 3.5 attempts per game. This season specifically. Pretty good at taking care of the ball, just 1.4 turnovers per game. He also shot 72.6% from the free throw line. And to talk a little bit that there is some skepticism about what he is as a shooter, the reason for that is it was a bit of an outlier leap this year. That, as I mentioned, shot 40.7% from beyond the arc this year. But if you want to look back to last season, he shot just 34.3% from three and 65.2% at the free throw line. So I do think he's taken some strides as a shooter this year, but it may not be to the monumental extent that it is oftentimes brought out to be. He's 19 years old. There's still a bright future there. And it is always interesting taking the different career paths or the arcs, the pathways that these guys take to the NBA. I think we would view him a little bit differently if he was not kind of filling a role as a player on a true professional team. But that is the more difficult challenge that a lot of these guys get when they do play overseas. When you think about some of these guys playing out of college, that so much is catered to them as a system to play through them in a way that maximizes their talents. You don't get quite that benefit when playing in the Euro Cup or playing on a professional team. Those are grown men being paid, competing for their job, for their career, and that you have to find a way to make an impact. And to Zacharie's credit, that he has found a way for the most part. Also has a 6'10" wingspan. He looks like a shooter, like he has the feel and look of a shooter. I've seen a lot of the skepticism with how much those numbers will actually translate. But to highlight, and let me rewind on this clip here, just look at the way that he makes his footwork, that he does the work before catching the ball. Look at how set he is. Boom, catch and shoot. I love that. And the insult or kind of insulting player comparison that I did want to bring up here, I don't mean this as negatively as it will come out, but I see some Davis Bertans in his game. And Bertans made up plenty of money at the NBA, stuck around for a little bit, and I believe still is around somewhere, although it doesn't seem like he's played a regular role in quite some time. I think there was one random game where I watched him catch fire this year, but regardless, with Risacher, I do think that the way that he moves off ball, the way that he does get his feet set, it is reminiscent of what Bertans did when he was at his best on the field. So he does have that look of a shooter. He is capable of attacking a closeout if a guy does push out too far. There were some concerns with his finishing around the basket. He shot just 37.9% at the rim in the 2022-23 season. That was up to 51.3% this year, which, to be perfectly honest, still is not great. That you do want a guy shooting higher than 51.2% at the rim if you're going to be a legitimate NBA player. But I'll say, from watching how much that I have, and I will say, be the first to hand admit that Richier is not near the top of guys that I have watched the most. Unfortunately, a lot of the full game tape that I've seen has been on college guys, G League Ignite guys, that I haven't quite caught too many, Brosset or JL Borg and Brace games, unfortunately. But I did watch enough to feel comfortable to say that a lot of his finishing around the rim issues felt like out of control issues, not touch issues. That it felt like he attacked the basket at a pace or at an angle that did not play to his benefit, rather than something where he had actually issues putting the ball in the basket. And I do want to rewind this clip here again. Here's another perfect example of what I'm talking about with the footwork. Watch the way he runs off, sets the screen, set a pin down for him, and look at the way the feet are set there. Bang. I absolutely love that. That's what gives me optimism for him as a shooter. I'm going to play it one more time. Bang. Look at the way it's just a quick hop step and then pull the trigger. One more time. Catch, bang, let it fly. That is absolutely real deal stuff. That's Klay Thompson-like stuff, the way that footwork does move there. So I love to see that at Richier, and will be interesting. I also will say, as far as the finishing issues, just dunk the ball. That sometimes I think he got a little too cute with trying to spin it off angles, put a little English on it off the glass. Just go up and dunk it. That you're big enough to do that. And in general, I'm a very pro dunker. That you're going to miss a lot more when you're trying to kiss it off the glass or do something crazy, rather than just go up and flush it down. As far as some other stuff, as I mentioned, the drives out of control. I do have a little bit of concern with Roll, from the fact of that you can look at him as kind of the Michael Porter Jr., Davis Bertans, but what can he truly grow into? Like, I kind of think he's a little bit pigeonholed, and he's going to be one of these shooters, these complementary pieces. I don't know how much more there is to unpack in his game, which in general, my outlook is I would rather a guy have a defining trait, have a defining skill set, and go with the role that comes with it. But when talking about Richier specifically, there's legitimate top 5 buzz that he was a guy that was labeled coming into the year as projected number 3 pick, and his stock seems to be sitting right around that same place. I don't quite feel that way about him, that I think he's likely out of my top 5 right now, and I will have some more videos diving deeper into where specifically I have guys ranked, so stay posted for that. But I do think when I think about the Matas Buzelis of the world, the Alex Sars, even a guy like Nikola Topic, I think I might talk myself into, although he got injured as well. Ron Holland, I absolutely think I like more than Richier. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But with Richier, what I do think the takeaway should be here, what you should be knowing that you're getting, is a guy with ready footwork right now, a capable shooter, and a guy with a little bit of juice off movement. That there's another play there that you can see, and I'll replay this one as well. Look at the nice little give and go and cut action that I do really like from him. So you can see him making the inbounds pass, him moving right away, and catching a guy snoozing. That's high IQ. That's really nice to see. And that ability as a cutter is something that will carve out a role for him at the NBA level. So I like Richier. I'm not writing him off as a prospect, but I do think his ceiling is a lot lower than is being recognized at this point in time. I think the best case scenario, or the likely outcome for him as a player, is that he is more of a role player, a shooter off the bench type guy, rather than in this top 5 pick conversation. I know part of that comes with the weak draft class in general, but I do think that he doesn't have quite as much room to grow as some of these other guys are being made out to be in some of his progressions. So Zaccharie Risacher still gets an overall thumbs up for me, that I like him as a player, but I don't think he's the surefire top pick that he is being made out. So let me know if you disagree with me in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. Make sure you're dropping a like on these videos, drop some comments, let me know you're listening, and anything else you got on your mind, and subscribe to keep the Pick Swap family growing. So appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in again, and we'll talk with you next time. Peace.